Do you ever look at your electronic devices and wonder, I really wish this thing was faster, smaller, and significantly more powerful?
Lucky for you, technology like that is right around the corner, and it's being powered with photonics, or in simpler terms, the science of light and photons. But to understand what photonics is, it's important to first understand what a photon is. A photon is a particle of light, or more accurately, a particle of electromagnetic radiation. You could also think of it as a little bundle of pure energy that's constantly oscillating as it travels, or it flip-flops in energy levels. At one point in space, it can be at high energy, and at the next, it's at low energy, kind of like a sine wave. And the distance between the peaks is known as the wavelength. The wavelength can vary quite a lot across the electromagnetic spectrum. At one end, it can be a few yards, and at the other, it's smaller than the nucleus of an atom. The power levels of a photon also depend largely on the wavelength. And the wavelength depends on how the photon is created in the first place. But how are they produced? Well, when you add energy to an electron by way of heat or electrical current or collision with another particle, it'll jump up to its excited state. And then eventually it'll fall back down to its ground state. And the energy that is lost is ejected in the form of a photon. Photons with specific energy can even cause an excited electron to fall back down to its ground state and produce another photon with the exact same energy level and properties as the photon that initiated the exchange. This is known as stimulated emission, and it's a driving principle behind lasers. Lasers are essential for photonics because the light that is produced by them is coherent, which means that the oscillation of all the particles coming out of it are in time with each other, which would also require that they all have the same wavelength, meaning that the laser light is monochromatic, or all one color if you're dealing with visible light. And since laser light is so controlled, it's ideal to use in a PIC, or a photonics integrated circuit, which is where most of the innovation lies in the field. In a PIC, photons flow through optical components much like how electrons flow through things like resistors, transistors, and capacitors in a typical electronic circuit. But the difference is that PICs are significantly smaller, cheaper, faster, produce little to no thermal energy, and are significantly more powerful than the typical electronic circuit. Who knows? In the future, photonics integrated circuits might make the most advanced electronic circuit look like the computer that sent men to the moon.